Never did I think I'd find myself here, trapped in the back seat of my husband's elegant car, awkwardly perched on my stepson's lap, feeling the weight of unspoken tension between us. Charles didn't even glance my way as he urged me to slip inside. His voice steady yet distant, leaving a flutter of something unspoken between us. His voice, as always, held a chilling indifference that pierced through the air, leaving a bittersweet ache in her heart. His gaze was fixed ahead, the tension between them palpable. His Bluetooth headset clung to him, an uninvited reminder of the world he couldn't fully escape. The leather seats felt like a secret, cool against my skin, while the bumpy ride sent shivers through me, each subtle shift of William's body igniting a forbidden thrill beneath me. William remained silent, his eyes speaking volumes of what could never be uttered. Neither did I. But I could sense the electric tension between us, a closeness that left me breathless, too intimate for comfort, or perhaps too intoxicating for how right it felt. I forced a laugh, my heart racing as I whispered something about his dad needing a bigger car. His soft laughter lingered in the air, a deep sound that hinted at unspoken feelings, a secret shared between them in that fleeting moment. It felt like a distant memory, the sound of laughter echoing through these walls, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. I moved just a bit, desperate to create some distance, but the cramped space offered no escape. Charles drove on, unaware of the tempest of feelings swirling in the shadows, longing to break free. In that fleeting instant, unspoken yet profound, a spark ignited within me. A tension I hadn't known was lying dormant began to stretch its limbs. My heart raced as I caught sight of William's hand lingering on the door handle. His long fingers curled around mine, nails perfectly trimmed, a touch that sent shivers down my spine. We stood frozen, hearts racing, each breath a silent plea to remain in this fragile moment, terrified of what a single shift could unravel. Later that night, after we returned home, Charles went straight into his office. He left without a whisper of good night. That's how it had always been, lingering in the shadows. He was there just a breath away, yet felt like a ghost in my own home. Meals were silent. Their connection felt like a distant dream, untouched and unfulfilled. Conversations had become transactions, cold, factual, necessary. I had learned to live with the ache of his emotional distance. I told myself it was just marriage. I told myself I was lucky, but I couldn't ignore how being near William made me feel something. Noticed, alive, slightly nervous in a way I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't love, not even lust, just awareness. A reminder that I was still a woman, that my body still lingered in the shadows, yearning to be seen, that someone could still look at me and find a reason to linger in my eyes, even when the world whispers that we shouldn't. I caught a glimpse of William through the kitchen window the next morning, his bare skin glistening in the soft light as he sipped coffee on the porch. Our eyes met and my heart raced. His gaze held hers, unyielding and intense. That evening, Charles slipped in after a long business dinner, his presence barely registering as he vanished into the shadows of the bedroom. William and I found ourselves alone in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words and lingering glances. He leaned in, his voice low and inviting, offering to help me tidy the kitchen, a moment that felt charged with unspoken tension. As we stood close together, the air crackled with everything we dared not say. Our arms brushed against each other, a fleeting moment that sent shivers down my spine. Neither of us dared to look away. I slipped under the covers, the weight of the world fading away, yet my heart raced with the thrill of what could never be. Charles lay there, lost in dreams, his gentle snores filling the quiet room with an air of intimacy. I lay there in the dark, the silence wrapping around me like a secret, heavy and electric. I was lost in a whirlwind of feelings I couldn't quite grasp. Yet, I found myself unable to erase that fleeting moment in the car from my mind. Intimacy. Whispers of longing. It was as if Charles was afraid to confront his own reflection, a silent rebellion against the truth that lay within. The memory of that car ride clung to her heart, a bittersweet echo that refused to fade. I convinced myself it was harmless, merely a twist of fate. But everything changed after that moment. William felt a stirring within him, a heightened sense of awareness that pulled at his heartstrings. Or perhaps it was me who began to see it all, the unspoken moments that lingered between us. He would always find excuses to stay in the kitchen while I cooked, his presence a sweet temptation I couldn't resist. Whispers grew into secrets shared in the shadows. He'd lean in, his fingers brushing against hers as he offered to help fold laundry or reach something from a high shelf, the air thick with unspoken tension. I felt the pull, the thrill of crossing lines, and I couldn't bring myself to stop. I couldn't resist the pull of that familiarity. I longed to be seen once more. He gazed at me as if I was everything he ever wanted. It had been ages since my husband had shown me that kind of affection. I began to change the way I dressed. Whispers of change. Delicate fabrics hugging my skin, the gentle embrace of fitted tops, and the intoxicating scent of a long-forgotten perfume swirling around me. Nothing too blatant, but just enough to awaken the real me, beyond the mask I wore. His heart belonged to another. William's secret longing for his stepmother. I began to sense the stirrings of something deeper within me. One night, Charles stumbled through the door, the scent of scotch and unspoken words clinging to him like a shadow. He collapsed onto the couch, surrendering to the weight of his exhaustion. William sat in the living room, headphones on, lost in his studies, unaware of the world around him. I handed him a glass of water, our fingers brushing briefly. He met my gaze, a soft thank you escaping his lips, and in that moment, everything felt electric and unspoken. His gaze held a weight that left me breathless, the unspoken tension hanging in the air like a secret we both knew but dared not acknowledge. That night I couldn't sleep, haunted by the intensity of that gaze. Not in shame. Not just yet. Only a whirlwind of emotions. Days melted into one another. Charles was a ghost, haunting the edges of her heart, leaving her yearning for a warmth that never came. William was everything his father failed to be. A quiet light in the shadows of longing. He saw the little things, the way my hair fell differently, how the pantry took on a new shape, the shadows under my eyes that whispered of sleepless nights. He recalled the way I savored my tea, a secret shared between us tinged with longing. He inquired about my day, his voice a soft whisper that lingered in the air, stirring something deep within me. I tried to convince myself it meant nothing at all. I convinced myself it was merely his kindness. That evening, under the fading light, we found ourselves alone in the backyard. Inside, Charles's voice echoed, a mix of frustration and urgency as he shouted into the phone, oblivious to the world around him. As I knelt in the flower bed, my fingers brushed against the earth, a bittersweet ache stirring within me. William stepped into my world, his presence a spark of warmth in the chill of the evening. Our fingers brushed against the earth, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. He lingered, his touch electric, as if the world around them had faded into nothingness. Neither did I. He finally pulled away, but his gaze lingered, filled with something unspoken. I recognized that gaze. It was the familiar spark I had felt back in college, the one that hinted at a kiss or something deeper, yet unspoken. He held back, the longing burning quietly within him. Yet it lingered in the shadows. We both felt it deep down. Then guilt began to blossom, not because of what had transpired, but because I feared the moment would end. I began crafting reasons to steer clear of Charles. I could claim exhaustion or a throbbing pain in my head. I swear I wasn't lying. Exhaustion weighed heavily on my heart. Just not in the way he had always imagined. William had always played it safe, never daring to step beyond the boundaries that kept him grounded. He shouldn't have to. What we shared was unspoken, hidden in the pauses of our conversations, in the way our eyes met and held, in the electric silence that enveloped us whenever we found ourselves alone together. And each night, I found myself questioning if it would be simpler if he did. It unfolded on a night when the air was thick with unspoken desires. Charles had escaped for a weekend conference, leaving behind a world that felt too heavy to bear. The house was too quiet, a weight in the air that felt almost suffocating. I brewed the tea, then lingered at the kitchen table, lost in thought, my gaze drifting into the emptiness around me. William stepped in, clad in a hoodie and sweatpants, his hair still glistening from the shower. He froze the moment our eyes met. His voice was soft, laced with concern, as he leaned closer and asked if I was okay. I whispered that I didn't know. That felt like the truest thing I'd said to anyone in ages. He took a seat opposite me, the air thick with unspoken words. The silence between us held a weight, a tension that felt both thrilling and dangerous. It was electric. A shiver raced down my spine, igniting a thrill I knew I shouldn't embrace. I whispered that I was weary of solitude, of fading into the background, of wearing a mask that hid the truth. My voice trembled, a fragile whisper in the air. He remained silent, his gaze heavy with unspoken words. That was all it took. His fingers brushed against my skin, sending a shiver through me. Not suggestive. Just hold on tight. My heart raced, a silent rebellion against reason. I stayed right there, heart racing. Just happened against all odds. Silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken feelings. Just the warmth of our bodies, gentle sighs escaping in the quiet. A connection we both felt, yet dared not acknowledge. He rose with a quiet intensity, circling the table, and I surrendered to the moment. He stepped nearer, and the quiet enveloped us, whispering secrets we were too afraid to speak. I gazed into his eyes, a mix of fear and longing swirling within me, terrified of the choice I was about to make, yet even more frightened by the truth of my desire. I felt the weight of time, a longing for something lost, something that could never be reclaimed. I felt alive in a way that scared me, felt understood, craved. The moments that once made my heart race with the thrill of existence. His hands hovered, hesitant yet filled with longing, as if he were bracing for my rejection. I couldn't. He stepped nearer, and the quiet enveloped us, whispering secrets we were too afraid to share. Each second spent with him awakened emotions I had buried deep within for far too long. It was tender and lingering. Silence enveloped them, thick with unspoken desires that unraveled with each fleeting moment. Afterward, we lay side by side in silence, the air thick with unspoken words, the room feeling colder than I ever recalled. My gaze fell away, unable to meet his eyes. He held back, the air thick with unspoken words and longing. Silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken words and longing. Just existing in this moment, heart racing, burdened, playful yet daring, genuine. In silence, he slipped into his clothes, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them, before disappearing into the night. I lingered in the stillness, trapped in a space that had lost its warmth, feeling the weight of what once was. My body felt like a stranger, a vessel of unspoken desires. My thoughts were spinning, but it wasn't regret that fueled them. Not just yet. A jolt of unexpected emotion. This was a choice, a spark igniting in the shadows, where desire danced dangerously close to the edge. It was a choice made with a heart full of longing. I stepped into it, heart racing, fully aware of the risks that lay ahead. It only deepened the ache. I lay there, heart racing, lost in thoughts of what this could mean, and what might follow. I couldn't help but imagine the moment Charles discovers the truth. His face remained hidden, a secret I longed to uncover. That was the most unexpected moment. I felt a thrill in that moment, a rush that overshadowed any fear. Felt like my heart was frozen. I had crossed a line that would forever change everything. Yet, all I could focus on was the way William gazed at me, as if I still held a spark worth chasing. This moment would haunt me, lingering in the shadows of my heart. In that instant, the truth I had hidden away crashed over me like a tidal wave, impossible to ignore any longer. Each day passed like a hollow echo devoid of warmth. I drifted through the house, a shadow in my own existence. Charles returned, his lips brushed against my cheek, a fleeting touch that felt both tender and distant. He unpacked his suitcase, his words spilling out about meetings I never wanted to hear, filling the space between us with unspoken tension. I played my part, nodding at the right moments, smiling when needed, then slipped away to my room, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the glow of the screen. He remained blissfully unaware of the change. Or perhaps he knew all along and simply decided to remain silent. William turned away from me. Not harshly, just with a tender touch. He slipped out for class before dawn, returning only when the stars blinked awake, each excuse a fragile barrier keeping us apart. We never dared to mention that night. Not even a fleeting glance. But now, everything between us felt like a secret, a fragile thread binding our hearts in a world that said we shouldn't. The tension had become a familiar ache in the air. In the stillness that followed, everything felt weighty, as if the air itself held secrets too precious to share. It left me wondering if it had all been a beautiful illusion. Perhaps I did. Perhaps my longing to experience something real again led me to believe it truly meant something. I tried to convince myself to move on. Let's just forget it ever occurred. Embrace the same sweet illusion that Charles had perfected. Yet it lingered in every moment. How I averted my gaze from William, how I recoiled from Charles's gentle caress, how the quiet wrapped around us, heavy with the weight of unspoken guilt. One afternoon I returned home and spotted a glass from William's room nestled in the dishwasher, a small reminder of moments we shared, yet tinged with an unspoken longing. Only that. Everything feels so ordinary, yet my heart races with a secret longing. But it crashed over me like a tide. I gazed at it, heart racing, as if it concealed secrets meant only for us. Shame washed over me, a warm tide creeping up my neck, igniting a fire I couldn't ignore. But it wasn't about the risk of being discovered. I felt lost, a stranger to myself, caught in a whirlwind of emotions I couldn't grasp. Charles began to sense the growing chasm between us. He leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper, asking if something was wrong. I whispered that I was weary. He nodded, pressed his lips gently to my forehead, and whispered for me to rest, his voice laced with a tenderness that felt both comforting and dangerously intimate. That was everything. No pressure, no chasing. It was supposed to simplify everything. Instead, it left me feeling empty inside. The distance between us felt insurmountable now, haunted by unspoken words, yet ignited by a single night of raw honesty. One night, William slipped into the kitchen, drawn by the need for water, unaware of the electric tension lingering in the air. I was already there, heart racing, caught in a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. We lingered just inches away, silence wrapping around us like a secret. I whispered, wondering if he felt any remorse for that fateful night. He shook his head, whispered a soft no, leaving a lingering silence that spoke volumes. I longed to know if it held any significance for him, but I kept silent. My heart raced, dreading the truth that lay ahead, no matter what it might be. As dawn broke, he vanished, leaving only a whisper of what could have been. His room was pristine, the bed perfectly made, yet it felt empty. No note, no farewell to linger in the air. I whispered to Charles that he must have slipped away to campus ahead of time. He never questioned it. As I lingered on the porch, solitude wrapped around me like a shroud. My gaze drifted down the empty street, yearning for a presence that felt just out of reach. I waited, heart racing, for a car to arrive, a message to light up my screen, anything to shatter the heavy stillness around me. Nothing ever happened. Time marched on, indifferent to their secret. I sat there, heart heavy with the weight of my choices, the price I paid, and the way everything shifted in its wake. I held back the tears. I held my breath, heart racing, but I didn't panic. I merely lingered in the shadows. For the first time in years, I felt lost, unsure of how to navigate the life I had built with the person I had become. It was one of those early autumn evenings, when the sun lingered low in the sky, draping everything in a tender golden glow. The crisp scent of autumn lingered in the air, mingling with the warmth of fading sunlight. I had just set down the watering can, my heart fluttering as I caught sight of him from the corner of my eye. Standing there, a world away yet so close. Our paths had crossed before, but never like this. He lived next door, the son of Victoria. But until that night, he had always been just a shadow in the background, unnoticed and unacknowledged. He was just a fleeting presence, a whisper in the corners of my mundane existence. Home for brief visits, assisting his mother with the garden, always polite with a casual wave. And then he vanished, leaving a lingering ache in his absence. He was likely in his early 30s, perhaps a touch older now. Time slipped away like a whispered secret, unnoticed until it was too late. That evening, Victoria's voice trembled through the phone, laced with urgency and a hint of desperation. As she pulled away, the weight of her request lingered in the air, a bittersweet promise of stolen moments. I could almost feel the warmth of her presence in the empty house, the thrill of being so close yet so far from what could never be. I agreed in a heartbeat, caught off guard by the rush of feelings. I had crossed that line once before. We weren't exactly best friends, but there was a closeness that felt electric, and I cherished the moments when I could be there for him. That night, I never imagined I would find someone waiting in the shadows. But just as I stepped off my porch to cross the street, a flicker of movement caught my eye behind the curtains, stirring something deep within me. A tall figure brushed past the window, and in that fleeting moment my heart stopped. Victoria had kept her secret close, never hinting at anyone else's presence. As I knocked softly on the door, my heart raced when Jerry appeared, a mix of surprise and longing in his eyes. "Oh," he whispered, his eyes wide with surprise, as if my presence had caught him off guard. "It is I, Miss Carter." That's how he always referred to me. I despised it. Made me feel like I was crossing a line, caught in a moment that shouldn't be shared. I offered him a fleeting smile, tinged with something unspoken. "Hey Jerry, your mother sent me to see how you were doing. I never expected to find you here, in this secret place where our worlds collide." He ran his fingers nervously along the nape of his neck, a flicker of longing in his eyes. "She dropped the news on me just before it was too late. I'll be here all weekend, keeping an eye on the house while she's away. I didn't mean to frighten you. Your fear doesn't touch me," I whispered, pulling away. "It took me by surprise, that's all." I knew I should have turned and left in that moment. I had fulfilled my duty, yet an unshakable pull kept me there, heart racing and breath hitching. Perhaps it was the way the light danced around him, casting a glow that felt almost intimate. Intense yearning. Perhaps it was the way his gaze lingered on me, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. Not like I was just some older neighbor, but there was something deeper in his gaze. Something yearning. "Do you want to stay for a while?" He whispered the question, a tremor of longing in his voice. As I stood there, the kettle's soft whistle beckoned, a moment of warmth before the world outside intruded. "Or something more intense if that's what you desire." I paused, my heart racing. For years I had built walls around my heart, always saying no to the thrill of the unexpected. Whispers of longing. Moments that linger on the edge of possibility. But for some reason my heart whispered yes. Inside, the house held a scent that whispered of cedarwood and fresh laundry, a bittersweet reminder of moments stolen away. He cracked open a window, allowing the cool evening breeze to slip inside, stirring something deep within him. I perched on the edge of the couch, heart racing as he slipped away into the kitchen, leaving a lingering tension in the air. The soft, mellow music wrapped around me like a secret, pulling me into its embrace as I glanced around, heart racing with unspoken desires. The house felt like a memory, yet it pulsed with a new, vibrant energy, as if someone young had breathed life into its walls for just a fleeting weekend. He returned, 2 glasses of deep red wine in hand, a spark of something unspoken hanging between us. "I thought this might be a sweeter choice," he murmured, offering it to me with a shy smile. "To us?" Our glasses met with a soft chime, a fleeting moment that felt both electric and wrong. To us. The wine flowed like a secret, rich and smooth, igniting a warmth that felt both thrilling and dangerous. And we whispered secrets to each other. In the beginning it was just innocent moments. He spoke of his life in Denver, the weight of his mother's health, and the whispers of the neighborhood, each word laced with an unspoken longing. But soon the conversation ventured into deeper, more intimate territory. He inquired about me, truly inquired. It had been ages since someone had gazed at me with such intensity while I spoke, not merely nodding along but truly listening, truly seeing me. I shared whispers of my garden, memories of my days as a nurse, and the haunting silence that filled the house now that the children had flown and my husband had long vanished from my life. "You don't look lonely," he murmured, a hint of longing in his voice. My heart raced as I caught his gaze, a mix of shock and something deeper stirring within me. "Do I not?" "No, you appear serene, as if you've come to terms with everything." I smiled, yet a bittersweet ache lingered in my heart. "Peace and loneliness can share the same space, Jerry." He nodded slowly, his gaze locking onto mine, sending a rush of warmth through my chest. It felt as if he grasped a secret between us, unafraid to acknowledge the weight of it. The silence enveloped us, thick with unspoken words, a tension that felt both thrilling and dangerous. I gazed at the glass, its contents dwindling, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. "I should probably go," I whispered, my feet rooted to the ground. He leaned back, his voice a whisper that sent shivers down her spine. "Text, please, just a little longer. I want to share this moment with you, to linger in the warmth of our conversation." I wish I had turned away. I had reached the tender age of 61. My days flowed like a melody, each moment a familiar note in a song I thought I knew by heart. I shouldn't have been in my neighbor's house, sharing wine with her son, feeling the tension between us grow heavier with every passing moment. Yet I lingered. Our whispers lingered in the night, wrapped in the silence that only the moon could witness. He leaned in closer, elbows resting on his knees, and asked me a question that felt too intimate for the moment. A question that lingered in the air like a secret we both knew we shouldn't share. Have you ever felt that life slipped away while you were lost in duty? My breath hitched, a forbidden thrill coursing through me. I did, more than I dared to confess. I nodded, my heart racing. That's how I feel lately, he murmured. His gaze lost in the depths of his glass. In the blink of an eye, everything I dreamed of slipped away. I couldn't. The room pulsed with heat, and the distance between us shrank, charged with an unspoken longing that had grown unbearable over the hours. Text. There was an intensity in him that caught me off guard. A vulnerability that pulled me in, and I found myself unable to turn away. His gaze met mine, and I felt the weight of unspoken words hanging between us, a question lingering in the air before it ever escaped his lips. Is there ever a moment when starting anew feels impossible? I couldn't find the words, but deep down, I felt the weight of this fleeting moment. So genuine, so precious. I just wanted to hold on to it forever. I placed my glass on the table and I lingered. The next morning I stirred awake in my own bed. The gentle light filtering through the curtains, casting a warm glow that felt almost too intimate. For a fleeting heartbeat, I questioned if it had all been a dream. The late-night conversation lingered in the air, his gaze igniting a spark within me. I found myself swept away, lost in a moment that felt both thrilling and dangerously uncharted. Yet it had happened and I was undeniably aware of it, unable to shake it from my mind. I went through the motions of the morning, coffee, shower, folding laundry, but my mind kept drifting back to the night before, not because anything wrong had occurred. We were so close, yet so far, our fingers barely brushing the surface of something deeper. It was the way he looked at me, the way his presence wrapped around my heart, making me feel seen and cherished in a way I thought I'd lost forever. By midday, I had whispered to myself that it was merely a passing dream. Perhaps the wine had cast a spell, making everything feel more profound than it truly was. Perhaps he had already erased it from his memory. But around 3 o'clock, as I was trimming the hydrangeas along the side of my porch, his voice reached me once more, sending a shiver down my spine. Here. I turned, and there he stood, hands tucked away, that familiar softness in his gaze pulling me in. My heart raced at his unexpected gaze, and his half-smile sent a thrill through me. A spark of something we both knew we shouldn't feel. Text, I brought your coffee mug, he said, lifting it with a hint of longing in his eyes. You left it behind last night. I stepped to the edge of the yard, my heart racing as I took it from him. Our fingers brushed for just a heartbeat, and once more, I felt that electric spark, a fleeting connection that felt so wrong yet so right in that ordinary moment. Thank you, I whispered, my voice trembling with an unexpected intensity. I couldn't tell if I had truly walked away, or if it was all just a fleeting dream. He let out a soft, bittersweet laugh. It really happened. I didn't imagine it either. I could have walked away, leaving everything unsaid. But something held me there. A whisper of longing that tangled with the petals, urging me to stay just a moment longer. But instead I whispered, Are you hungry? His brow arched just a bit, and a secretive smile tugged at his lips. Are you asking me to share a meal, Miss Carter? Text. I told you not to call me that. I whispered, glancing back at the house, my heart racing. Come on, I made way too much chicken salad. It feels like a secret between us, something we shouldn't share. Yet here we are. He stepped in behind me, and in an instant, the delicate balance of my secluded life was forever altered. We lingered at the small table by my kitchen window, the sunlight casting a warm glow over the wood, a fragile barrier between us. He seemed so comfortable in my space, as if it were perfectly natural for him to be there, igniting a warmth that felt both thrilling and wrong. And for a moment it felt like it could be everything. We whispered about melodies, cherished films, and trivial moments that felt so light yet so heavy in our hearts. But then everything changed. He looked at me with those searching eyes and asked why I had never taken the plunge again. A daring inquiry. Yet, in his voice, there was only a gentle curiosity, free from judgment. I stared at my fork, heart racing, lost in the weight of unspoken words. I've grown accustomed to solitude, I confessed. It felt safer to embrace solitude, to find solace in my own heart, rather than be with someone who looked right through me. His head dipped, a silent agreement laced with unspoken longing. It feels right, doesn't it? Then he leaned back, his eyes locked onto hers, a silent promise hanging in the air. But I caught a glimpse of you last night, Sarah. I truly did. Since that moment you've consumed my thoughts and I can't shake the feeling. A flutter in my stomach caught me off guard, and I despised the way it made me feel. I was 60 years old, for heaven's sake. These emotions were meant for the young, for those who adorned themselves with perfume daily, who chose fresh dresses for each date, who smiled without a second thought of the lines that might betray their age. But in that moment I felt young and alive, as if the world around us faded away, leaving just the two of us in a secret embrace. In that fleeting moment my heart raced, and I felt a spark that was both thrilling and dangerous. Yet I felt the urge to speak even if it was risky. Jerry, I can't quite grasp what we have here. I'm twice divorced and twice your age, yet here we are drawn to each other in a way that feels both thrilling and wrong. So close. Not quite, he replied, a playful smirk dancing on his lips. Yet you don't seem to carry the weight of those years. His words sent a shiver through me, igniting a feeling I thought was lost forever. Yet I remained silent. Every fiber of my being urged me to pull away, to shield my heart from the inevitable ache. Yet, a whisper within urged me to surrender to the moment, to truly embrace the emotions that stirred inside. After lunch we stayed in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words and stolen glances. It all began with a flicker on the screen, but now all I can think about is the way our hands brushed together, igniting something we both knew we shouldn't explore. A glimpse into a world we shouldn't explore, perhaps. In the quiet corners of small towns, where secrets linger like whispers in the wind, hearts collide in stolen moments. The thrill of a glance, the warmth of a touch, all wrapped in the delicate tension of what should never be. Love blooms in the shadows, fragile yet fierce, as two souls dance on the edge of desire and consequence. Yet we chose to ignore it all. Our words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken feelings. Each silence pulsed with a mix of wonder and tension, filled with questions we dared not voice. He glanced at me, his voice low and intense, and said, "You have a presence that makes time stand still. Feels like a secret tether to reality." I chuckled, a hint of anxiety lacing my voice. "That's a sweet way of saying I keep my secrets close." "No," he whispered, his breath warm against her skin as he drew nearer. "It's a whisper of reassurance, a secret promise that wraps around the heart, making it feel at home even in the shadows. It's been ages since I experienced something like this." The silence that lingered was filled with unspoken words. It throbbed between us, a secret rhythm that only we could feel. He stood so close, our breaths mingling, but his lips remained just out of reach, holding back the moment that felt so electric and yet so wrong. His gaze held a longing that ignited something deep within me, and in that moment I understood. I craved it just as fiercely. Not for the excitement, not for a momentary high, but because it was genuine, surprising, and tender. And that only deepened the intensity of it all. I led him to the door, the sky threatening to blush with the colors of a sunset that felt too intimate to share. "Thank you for lunch," he whispered, a hint of longing in his voice. "Always." He stayed on the porch, heart racing, caught between desire and the weight of unspoken rules. "Will you be all right tonight?" he whispered, a hint of concern lacing his voice. "Text. If you ever find yourself in need, just know I'm here." "I'll be okay," I whispered, my heart aching with unspoken truths. "But I'm grateful." And then he made a tiny gesture, yet it held so much weight. His fingers brushed against mine, a fleeting connection that sent shivers down my spine. His hand brushed against mine for a fleeting moment, not a tease but a silent connection that stirred something deep within. "Will I see you tomorrow?" he whispered, a hint of longing in his voice. I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. "Absolutely." As the door clicked shut, I sank against it, my hand resting over my racing heart. My heart raced, a thrilling pulse that both excited and terrified me. A spark ignited between us, unexpected and thrilling, pulling us into a world we never dared to explore. And even though the path was uncertain, a spark ignited within me, urging me to discover what lay ahead for the first time in ages. The next day dawned with a longing I couldn't shake, A subtle pain nestled in the depths of my heart. I drifted through the morning, my fingers gliding through my hair with a languid touch, captivated by the birds dancing in the yard, their fleeting beauty holding my gaze longer than it should have. Our conversations echoed in my mind, a bittersweet melody I couldn't escape. The memory of Jerry's fingers brushing against mine lingers, electric and forbidden. His eyes held a steady sincerity that made my heart race as he asked if I'd be okay. This was more than a fleeting infatuation. I was a woman caught in a whirlwind of longing, not just a girl lost in fantasies of the boy next door. No, this was something deeper, tangled in emotions and beautifully complex. And yet, when the knock echoed softly at a little past 10, my heart fluttered with a familiar, forbidden thrill. Jerry lingered on my porch once more, clutching 2 steaming cups and a crinkled brown bag, his presence igniting a flutter of excitement in my chest. He smiled softly, a hint of mischief in his eyes as he lifted the bag, the air thick with unspoken words. "Shall we share a moment over breakfast?" A smile tugged at my lips, even as I moved aside, heart racing with unspoken words. "Your presence is like a secret feast, always unexpected and deeply cherished. It's a thrilling risk. I suppose this is the smallest gesture for the woman who nourished my body with chicken salad and healed my heart in the quiet of her living room." We laughed, and in that moment the tension between us melted away. He set the cups down, his hands trembling slightly as he unwrapped the breakfast burritos, a secret indulgence from a nearby cafe. We sat by the window again, the light spilling in just as it had the day before, yet this time an unspoken tension hung in the air, electrifying and fragile. More courage. No more pretending this was merely a friendly gesture. He broke the silence, his voice low and tentative. "So what's your plan for today?" I let out a small sigh, my heart heavy with unspoken words. I found myself drawn to the farmer's market, the thought of autumn squash igniting a warmth in my chest, a secret thrill that felt just out of reach. "Do you want to join me?" He acted without a second thought. "Absolutely, that sounds perfect." And so we slipped away just like that. 2 souls separated by decades strolled together, their fingers brushing against the vibrant stalls of apples, glistening honey jars, fragrant handmade soaps, and oversized gourds, each step a silent defiance of the world around them. He took my bag, a silent gesture that sent a flutter through my chest. He leaned in, his eyes searching mine, as he asked about the dishes that made my heart flutter. As my laughter spilled out near the cinnamon stand, his gaze met mine, a spark of surprise and something deeper flickering in his eyes. It felt so right, yet that only deepened the sense of something forbidden. As they drove in silence, he gazed out the window, his voice barely a whisper. "I think I like being around you. It makes me feel more grounded." My eyes met his for just a fleeting moment. "You appear to be someone who has it all together. Yet I sense a hidden turmoil beneath the surface." His smile was small and crooked, a fleeting glimpse of something deeper, something that felt both thrilling and wrong. "You have no idea. For as long as I can remember, I've been pursuing fleeting moments, desires, connections, longing. With you, it's as if the world fades away, and I can finally breathe without the weight of longing." Words escaped me, caught in the tension of the moment. Compliments like that at my age felt like a secret, a fleeting moment that took my breath away. I had never been the one to bring solace amidst the chaos. We slipped inside, our laughter echoing softly as we joked about the oddly shaped butternut squash, a moment that felt both light and heavy with unspoken feelings. In a fleeting moment, my fingers brushed against him as I gently moved a leaf clinging to his shoulder. My fingers brushed against theirs, a moment stretched into eternity, electric and unspoken. He stood still, a silent tension hanging in the air. The silence that lingered was charged with unspoken words. It was thick with longing. My gaze lingered on him, a moment suspended in time. The subtle crinkles at the edges of his eyes, the quiet power in the way he stood, the warmth that lingered in his expression, always felt like a secret shared between them. He was something more, something that stirred a longing deep within her heart. He was a man marked by life, shaped by battles, and somehow against all odds he stood at my door, igniting a spark I never dared to feel. "Jerry," I whispered, "what are we getting ourselves into?" He moved in, heart racing. "I'm lost, but I can't keep up this facade any longer." My breath hitched. "Text, I don't want to frighten you," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. But I can't let this slip away. Each word landed softly in my heart, a tender weight that I couldn't ignore. I've devoted so much of my life to doing what's expected, I whispered, adhering to the rules, coloring within the lines. And right now I just want to break free from them just this once. His fingers brushed against mine, soft and tentative, and I surrendered to the moment. In that moment we were suspended in time, fingers laced together in my still kitchen, sunlight streaming through the window, the lingering aroma of apples and cinnamon wrapping around us like a secret. It was tender, unspoken, a connection blossoming quietly between two souls. I need to tread lightly here, he whispered, his gaze lingering on her with a mix of longing and caution. I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. Same here. He lingered for dinner, the air thick with unspoken words and stolen glances. We shared a kitchen, laughter mingling with the scent of roasted vegetables, a simple soup simmering on the stove, and a bottle of wine that lingered unfinished between us. The soft jazz from the radio wrapped around us, and in a fleeting moment, I felt his gaze on me as I stirred the pot, as if I were a secret he longed to keep. As dusk settled and the stars flickered to life, we huddled on the back porch, wrapped in a blanket, the silence of the world enveloping us like a secret. Do you ever think about the whispers that would follow us? I whispered, my voice barely a breath. Perhaps he whispered. Yet, my heart aches for your feelings above all else. It's a rush, a spark that ignites something deep within me, something we both know we shouldn't explore. Once more the air hung heavy with unspoken words, a tension that defied reason. We had found ourselves in a moment neither of us had anticipated, yet neither could bear to leave behind. And in that fleeting moment doubt slipped away. For the first time in years, I finally embraced what my heart truly craved. As I rested my head against his shoulder, a rush of warmth enveloped us, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and dangerous. We lingered in silence, gazing at the stars, as a fragile and undeniable connection started to blossom between us. The days that followed felt like stolen moments, each one a whisper of a story I never knew I could still tell. Every morning whispered a new melody, tender and intoxicating. He never made the move, and deep down I knew he wouldn't. Yet he found reasons to linger, appearing more frequently, sometimes for coffee, other times simply to share the silence with me. We thrived in the quiet moments, where unspoken feelings lingered in the air. We were unraveling a secret, each moment heavy with unspoken longing, and I treasured every heartbeat of it. Yet the world carries on oblivious, as something fragile starts to bloom. They see everything, and whispers linger in the air. Victoria came back from her trip, her heart heavy with unspoken words and lingering glances. Eventually I knew our paths would cross, and my heart raced at the thought. On that warm afternoon, I caught a glimpse of her in the garden, her sun hat casting a shadow over her delicate features as she knelt, lost in her task. With a shaky breath I slipped on my sandals, heart racing as I made my way over. "Hey, mysterious one," I whispered. Her gaze met his, and a shy smile broke across her lips. "Sarah, you saved my little green world. I wish you had been with her." We exchanged fleeting words, and I nearly silenced the urge to mention Jerry. But that would have been wrong. Not for her. Not for me. "I've crossed paths with Jerry a few times since you walked away," I said, my voice trembling just a bit. She brushed away the sweat, her heart racing as she nodded, a silent promise hanging in the air between them. "He said he came by to leave something behind. You mentioned that you two reconnected." I paused, heart racing. It was so much deeper, Victoria. Our moments together linger in the air, electric and unspoken. We've shared our secrets. So much. And a spark ignited between us, something we both knew we shouldn't explore. A surprise that took my breath away. Her gaze met mine, a storm of emotions hidden beneath a veil of mystery. Then she smiled, a gentle curve of her lips, filled with unspoken secrets, neither mocking nor surprised. With a heavy heart, "Sarah," she whispered, her voice trembling, "you've always been one of the sweetest souls I've ever known. If Jerry discovers solace in your arms, who am I to challenge that truth?" I breathed out, a rush of emotions flooding my heart. We barely whispered about it again after that. Yet, her elegance held a significance that she could never truly grasp. Later that evening, Jerry appeared at my door, a small bouquet of sunflowers in his hands, their bright petals a stark contrast to the tension in the air. "I thought these reminded me of you," he whispered, his eyes lingering on mine as he placed them in my hands at the threshold. I smiled, my fingertips grazing his, a spark igniting between us. "They can't help it." We found ourselves in the living room once more, the soft crackle of an old jazz record filling the air, wrapping us in a moment that felt both right and wrong. The night was deepening, and for the first time, I longed for him to stay just a little longer. He sat beside me on the couch, our proximity electric yet tinged with restraint. The soft glow of the lamp illuminated his features, revealing a beauty that felt both intoxicating and out of reach. "I can't help but think about you even though I know I shouldn't," he whispered. Our eyes locked for a fleeting moment. "What are we supposed to do about this?" His hand found mine once more, our fingers intertwining as if they had been destined to connect. "Perhaps it's nothing," he whispered, a hint of longing in his eyes. "Perhaps just this moment. Us against the world. Take your time. Nothing stands in our way." A warmth blossomed in my chest, a feeling that danced on the edge of love, teasing me with its proximity. A truth that stirs the heart. Something that feels just out of reach. I leaned in, heart racing, drawn to the warmth of his closeness. His arm encircled me, a comforting warmth that felt both right and wrong. Silence stretched between us, heavy and unyielding. We lost ourselves in the melody, wrapped in the rhythm of our shared breaths. In that quiet moment, I released the lingering fears, the weight of what once was. I let go of the weight of appearances, age, and the moments that slipped away. In this hushed, uncharted moment, I discovered a longing I never realized was buried deep within me. Yearning. Never compelled. Never pursued. Discovered something unexpected. The kind that ignites when you abandon the masks and allow your true self to shine through, even if it feels like a secret. That night, Jerry lingered as the sky blushed with the first light of dawn. We took our time, savoring each stolen moment. Each stolen glance held a world of unspoken feelings, echoing in the quiet between them. As he rose to depart, his lips brushed my cheek, a fleeting touch that sent shivers down my spine. Soft, fleeting, heartfelt. "Will I see you tomorrow?" he whispered, a hint of longing in his voice. I nodded, a smile flickering across my lips, a secret shared in the silence between us. "Yes, tomorrow." When everything changes. As the door clicked shut, I froze, my hand pressed against my heart, feeling the weight of what could never be. My life had been a tapestry of moments, children raised, dreams chased, love found and lost, and heartache endured. Yet, I never imagined that something so unexpected could spark at this moment. And yet it happened. Not a dream come true. Not a storm of passion. But something more forbidden, genuine, and beautifully hidden away. Grief casts 1,000 shadows, yet the one that wrapped around me in the sweltering summer years after my husband's death was not solely born of sorrow. It was a forbidden spark ignited by his own son. As the tempest unleashed its fury upon our weathered coastal home, the air thick with longing, it felt as if the heavens shared in our secret sorrow. In that fleeting moment, a spark ignited between us, shattering the boundaries we dared not cross. I, Sharon, a widow at 52, stood on the edge of a longing that softly called out to Ethan. The sultry evening air wrapped around me, heavy with unspoken desire. As I melted into the shadows of our softly lit living room, my silk robe brushing against my skin like a secret. The heat pressed down, heavy and suffocating. It's been a year since Christian, my husband, was taken from me. The grief has softened, yet an unrelenting ache still lingers in my heart. Tonight that ache was a wildfire, igniting a storm of longing deep inside me, as if the world outside mirrored the chaos of my heart. The lamp's soft light flickered, creating dancing shadows that whispered untold secrets. The gentle sound of water flowing from above broke the spell of my thoughts. A heartbeat later, Ethan entered the living room, droplets glistening on his skin, a towel hanging dangerously low on his hips. At 21, he was a whirlwind of restless energy and quiet intensity, his dark tousled hair framing a face that whispered of secrets yet to be uncovered. He was a haunting reflection of his father, a living echo that left me breathless with longing. We danced around each other, our movements delicate, our words quick and piercing. The shadows crept in, wrapping the room in a tender embrace as the tempest raged beyond the walls. A distant rumble drawing nearer, stirring something deep within. I stood to light the candles, but my foot snagged on the ottoman, a small stumble in the quiet of the moment. I faltered, my hands reaching out in a desperate dance. My fingers grazed Ethan's shoulder, a fleeting touch that hung in the air, thick with unspoken tension as he shifted his towel. My breath caught in my throat. A spark ignited within me, more intense than the sweltering heat surrounding us. "I'm so sorry." Ethan's voice trembled, a broken whisper laced with regret as he reached for the towel, the air thick with unspoken tension. In the soft glow of the moon our gazes met, a quiet yet intense understanding passing between us. I drew away, breathless, the memory of that unintentional, heart-stopping touch burning in my thoughts. Ethan slipped away, whispering something about a flashlight, leaving me alone with a storm of emotions swirling in my mind. Later, in solitude, I found myself drowning in a whirlwind of thoughts and feelings that I could barely contain. The air was heavy with unspoken longing. The tempest within me surged. The next day, the storm lingered, and I found myself at the kitchen counter, a delicate sundress clinging to my skin in the sweltering heat. The air crackled with unspoken desire. My thoughts wandered to that brief moment, the accidental touch with Ethan's stirring feelings I never expected to confront. I leaned into the cold marble, its icy touch unable to quell the fire inside me, the gentle caress of bare feet igniting a forbidden thrill. Ethan stepped in, his bare chest catching the light, shorts hanging low, a hint of mischief in his eyes. My breath hitched. I pretended to be absorbed in my water glass. He opened the refrigerator, its cold light casting fleeting shadows that danced around him, a moment both ordinary and charged with unspoken longing. He reached for water, his movements a dance of elegance, stirring something deep within her that felt both thrilling and wrong. I stole glances, my heart racing as he turned, our eyes locking in a moment that ignited a warmth both thrilling and forbidden. "Are you feeling restless, Sharon?" he asked, his voice a low, husky whisper that sent shivers down her spine. I forced a smile that barely masked the turmoil inside. The air was thick with tension. He tilted his head, the bottle grazing his lips in a slow, deliberate caress. I traced the line of his collarbone, captivated by the subtle shift of his throat, before I wrenched my eyes away. The silence lingered, heavy and charged. "Your presence is unforgettable, Ethan." I whispered my confession, warmth flooding my cheeks. He stood still, his eyes growing wide with disbelief. He placed the bottle down, leaning against the counter, his gaze intense and searching. "Do you feel the same way?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "Are women captivating?" His smile sparkled with a hint of secret joy. "It requires a delicate shift," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "Girls often whisper that it's a weight too heavy to carry." The air shimmered with unspoken tension. His fingers grazed against mine as he reached for his water, a brief connection that sparked an undeniable heat within me. My heart raced wildly. We stood in a heavy silence until Ethan melted into the shadows, leaving my body filled with a quiet, aching longing. A tempest brewed within me, longing to break free. The darkness lingered, a haunting echo of the storm that raged beyond the horizon, stretching into a second night filled with unspoken longing. The house loomed like a shadow, its darkness wrapping around me, the heat pressing down, almost suffocating. It felt like a whirlwind, each moment slipping through my fingers like sand, leaving only a lingering ache in my heart. Thoughts tethered to Ethan's haunting confession. I drifted alone, a single lantern flickering in the heavy, rain-kissed air. "The garage has reached out." Whispers danced in the dark. Ethan lingered at the workbench, his fingers gently caressing the surface of an old radio, lost in memories that felt both sweet and dangerous. I pressed my back against the cold metal of the workbench, feeling the fabric of my shorts shift uncomfortably. My eyes were drawn to him, an unspoken connection igniting between us. His raw intensity captivated me. "What do you feel in your heart?" I breathed a secret longing. He turned slowly, his eyes burning with intensity in the soft glow of the lantern. His breath came in shallow gasps. I edged nearer. "It's shrouded in shadows," I confessed. "The lights dim, casting shadows that whisper secrets of longing. I can't help but surrender. I'm drawn to the shadows, willing to overlook the consequences." His heart raced as doubt crept in. Then a quiet yielding, a breath held in the shadows. My heart raced wildly. My hand shook as I reached out, only to pull back, overwhelmed by the weight of what was unfolding between us. A whirlwind of emotions. My fingers grazed his skin once more, a hesitant inquiry lingering in the air. He loomed above me, a presence both thrilling and dangerous. His breath caught in his throat. His grip on the workbench tightened, knuckles pale with longing. "Sharon, my heart races at the mere thought of you." He whispered, a warning, a plea, a surrender that hung in the air like a secret too precious to share. My hand reached out, fingers gently curling, brushing against theirs in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. A low, haunting sound resonated within me. We stood still, the air thick with unspoken words, as the flickering lantern cast shadows on our entwined breaths. My heart raced. Ethan's gaze, deep and enigmatic, captivated me completely. I let my hand slip from his grasp, a rush of longing and regret flooding my heart. Ethan gasped, his breath hitching as he leaned heavily against the workbench, the weight of unspoken feelings pressing down on him. The air crackled with an intensity that felt almost forbidden. I averted my gaze, my heart swirling with a tempest of forbidden longing and haunting remorse. The night sky hung heavy, charged with unspoken longing. The hidden sanctuary. The air crackled with unspoken words, the night alive with the sound of crickets, heightening the tension that hung between us. A bottle of warm wine, its warmth unable to calm the sparks between us. The garage haunted my mind, a secret world filled with unspoken desires. Ethan leaned closer, their knees nearly touching, sparking a new flame within. His closeness was a heady mix of desire and danger. My breath caught in my throat. His gaze bore into me, intense and searching, as the silence wrapped around us, heavy and profound. "Touch me again, Sharon. Please." His whisper was a rough, desperate caress. My heart raced with a thrill I knew I shouldn't feel. Fingers quivered as they reached out. I hesitated. I reached out, my heart racing with a mix of longing and fear. "Sharon, my heart races at the mere thought of you." He exhaled, a soft warning laced with the weight of surrender. My hand moved, fingers curling, releasing a soft, forbidden groan. His hand brushed against mine, a hesitant touch that ignited a spark. His fingers, bold yet gentle, traced my skin, uncovering hidden sensations and leaving me breathless. "Your burden," I whispered, my voice trembling. His smile reflected a longing that echoed my own. "Just say the word, and I'll be yours," he whispered softly. His hand moved, fingers grazing my inner thigh, igniting a spark of something we both knew we shouldn't feel. Everything began to unravel. His free hand cradled my nape, a steady and possessive caress that sent shivers down my spine. He gently lifted my chin, his touch sending a shiver down my spine. "Is it truly you, Ethan?" I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. He was silent, his fingers tightening in a wordless promise. My lips trembled open. The long-awaited storm was finally upon them. That night, the house whispered secrets in the stillness. In the dim upstairs hallway, a single lantern flickers, casting shadows that dance with longing. I leaned against the cool wall, my mind swirling in a tempest of emotions. He lingered in my mind, a bittersweet ache I couldn't shake. The boy who is always out of reach. A delicate murmur, but even that seemed too weak to capture the depth of feeling. The garage echoed with tension, his body rigid, breath barely a whisper as he spoke my name. The bathroom door whispered open. Ethan stepped into the hall, his skin glistening with water droplets that sparkled like tiny diamonds, a sight both captivating and forbidden. He was a tempest, breathtaking and untamed. Time stood still. His gaze captured mine, sending a shiver through my soul. His gaze broke through my walls, igniting a fire I never expected. "Whisper it, Sharon. Just tell me to stop," he whispered, his voice thick with longing, fighting against the irresistible allure. I couldn't. I just couldn't. I leaned in, my fingers weaving through his damp hair, pulling him closer for a kiss that whispered all the words we dared not say. Their lips met, sparking a fire that felt both thrilling and wrong. His touch sent shivers through me, a rush of emotions I couldn't contain, my heart pounding wildly in response. I convinced myself it was a mistake. Yet, in that electrifying instant, all thoughts faded away. He had ignited a flame, stirring a long-buried passion that felt both exhilarating and dangerous. The air crackled with unspoken desires, as lines faded and feelings surged, drowning out all logic. My hands roamed over him, driven by a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. Ethan, my heart races at the mere sound of your name. I inhaled defeat. A low growl escaped his lips as they found mine once more, tilting my world. Bound fingers explored, breaths mingled, and our bodies engaged in a desperate, silent conversation. The cool wall felt like a barrier, a reminder of the fire between us. The candlelight danced, illuminating our intertwined shadows, capturing a moment that felt both sacred and forbidden. Each touch, each whisper against bare skin ignites a fire within. Our lips collided, a spark igniting, overwhelming and intoxicating. I surrendered. The unspoken tension surged, shattered and reshaped itself. With each movement, he drew me in further, my breath-catching fingers entwined in his hair. The storm howled outside, mirroring the chaos inside. A whirlwind of unspoken desires, leaving hearts breathless and forever changed. In the deep silence that enveloped us, our bodies intertwined, the burden of our hidden truth, our forbidden act, lingered in the air, palpable and intense. The line vanished as evening fell, shadows wrapped around them, thick with heat and unspoken secrets. I sat on the couch, the candle flickering softly, casting shadows that danced like unspoken desires. He stepped into a thick, charged quiet. He knelt before me, his gentle touch igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and wrong. His touch, once a mere accident, ignited a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. My breath caught as his gaze held mine, a silent question lingering between us. I nodded, my voice a whisper, heavy with longing, a whispered vow, delicate and fleeting. He moved on instinct, his lips brushing against mine in a hesitant dance. His presence sparked an undeniable flame. My fingers wove through his hair, drawing him nearer, the world around us fading away. Every heartbeat drew me closer to the brink. My heart raced, drowning in the overwhelming passion that pulled me deeper. A moment of uncertainty, swiftly engulfed by euphoria. My fingers wove through his hair, a breathless gasp escaping my lips. Was this wrong? Did the thrill of the secret pull us together, heightening every moment, enveloping us in a perilous bliss? A daring choice, a bittersweet ache. In that moment everything else disappeared, and an overwhelming longing took hold of my heart. At the edge, breath hitched, body quaking with unspoken desire. He pulled away slowly, his eyes deep and enigmatic, holding secrets that felt both thrilling and dangerous. Silence thick with unspoken desires. The burden of our decisions clings to us, a bittersweet ache of desire and remorse. The barrier dissolved, leaving only the thrill of what could be. The suffocating heat of the blackout enveloped them once more that night. Wine sits untouched on the kitchen table, a silent witness to what could have been. He stepped inside, heart racing. I thought you longed for something deeper. He whispered as the wine flowed, a secret shared in the dim light. I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. He sank into his seat, his gaze piercing and filled with unspoken longing. Whispers lingered in the twilight. His shirt clung to him, a silent testament to the heat between them. I struggled to look away. We sipped quietly, the air thick with unspoken feelings, our bond deepening in the hush between us. Your silence echoes with unspoken desires. His voice was barely a breath laced with longing. I turned away, a mix of longing and regret swirling within me. He leaned in closer, the air thick with unspoken words and a tension that felt both thrilling and wrong. What is the heart of it all? It's a maze I navigated, heart racing with every turn. He glanced up, his dark eyes shimmering with an unspoken longing. We can end this, he whispered softly. Few desire. I turned away, my heart racing. Feels too soon to say goodbye. His gaze lingered, filled with unspoken longing. He stepped closer, fingers lingering like a whisper of electricity. Perfect. He inhaled deeply. He softly grasped my hand, pulling me nearer, intensifying the electric connection between us. Just say the word, he murmured, and I'll set you free. I nodded, my heart racing, unable to find the words. He leaned in, our lips barely touching, a delicate spark igniting between us. His hands glided over every curve, igniting a fire within me that left me gasping for air. My fingers wove through his hair, drawing him nearer, as if the world around us faded away. The kiss deepened, bodies entwined, thoughts drowned in a haze of longing. He pulled me closer, our hearts racing as the world around us faded away. The thrill, the danger, so intoxicating, so hard to resist. In the dim kitchen, our bodies whispered secrets, a silent promise hanging in the air. The wall fell apart. The storm howled beyond the walls, but within, we danced in a whirlwind of our secret desires. The allure of our hidden connection, the thrill of the unallowed, wrapped around us like a warm embrace. The next morning, electricity crackled in the air as I stood by the kitchen sink, my robe clinging to me, lost in the rain-soaked yard. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world glistening with secrets. Yet, the memory of our bond lingered like an irresistible whisper. The house whispered secrets of longing. Thomas Ethan stepped in, his chaotic dark eyes flickering nervously from mine. Unspoken tension hung in the air as the coffee maker roared to life. We stood still, hearts racing, caught in a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. Morning, my heart whispers, a secret shared between us in the soft light of dawn. His voice was a low whisper, heavy with unspoken feelings. I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken feelings. Morning. He drew closer, a warmth enveloping us, igniting something we both knew we shouldn't feel. My heart raced as I confronted him. His gaze captivated me. We can't keep hiding from this truth. I breathed softly. He nodded, a flicker of untamed desire in his eyes. The facade is slipping away, and I can't hold it any longer. His voice quivered as he whispered. Time stood still. He leaned in, his hand finding mine, our fingers weaving together. A fleeting sanctuary in a world that felt so wrong. What do we do now? His gaze lingered, piercing through the veil of dread that hung between them. He leaned in, their foreheads touching, a spark igniting between them. He never uttered the words, but the silence between us spoke volumes. The thought of losing you haunts me. His words pierced my heart. He drew back just enough to cut my cheek, a spark of something unspoken lingering between us. Crave you. His voice barely brushed against her ear. I surrendered, heart racing, eyes shut tight. Just him, just us, together we'll discover a path. I breathed softly. He nodded, a bittersweet distance forming between them. The warmth lingered, a secret between them. The coffee sat, steam curling like whispered secrets in the air. The future loomed heavy with the undeniable change between us. Morning light sparks a connection that transcends guilt and desire, weaving a deep bond between them. Ethan's throat tightened, a rush of unspoken feelings flooding his chest. I know I should go, he whispered softly. I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. I watched him leave, my heart aching with every step he took away from me. His absence felt like a heavy silence, wrapping around her heart. By the window, rain fell softly, revealing a sudden truth. The storm outside had passed, but the real turmoil was only just starting to unfold. There's no way to undo this. The delicate waltz of longing and loss pulls you into hidden, uncharted paths. If you've ever sensed a bond that dances on the edge of what's allowed, join us in the whispers of the storm for tales that delve into the heart of human emotion. In the stillness that follows the chaos, both outside and within, lingers the haunting reality of what we've chosen. Sometimes the most dangerous storms are the ones we hide in our hearts, where passion and longing collide in silence. In the heat of that moment, a bond was formed, leaving behind a lingering ache, a bittersweet reminder of what slipped away, what was discovered, and if the fabric of life could ever be woven the same again.